I guess right now we should start the show.
So, yo, welcome back to the JV podcast. Today, playoffs start today. I'm here with Vic. We got another mock draft coming to you guys today. But before we get into that, some trending topics in the league. Doc Rivers announced he is done with coaching. He is retiring. Shout out to him. Long career. I talked about it 2 episodes ago. I'm like, yo, he's really been coaching for like 2 decades. Like, it's crazy. Like, a lot of the coaches now, they don't even have that long of a leash besides like Spoelstra. So shout out to Doc Rivers on the retirement. And then we got the play-in. It's finally over. Matchups are set. The Hornets defeated the Heat. The Sixers defeated the Magic, and then the Magic defeated the Hornets. And then the Blazers defeated the Suns. The Warriors defeated the Clippers, and then the Suns defeated the Warriors. So we just wanted to talk about the play-in real quick, really the losing teams, and talk about what's next for them. And then after that, we'll get into the mock draft. But how you doing today, bro?
I'm very, very excited. I mean, trust me, I promise you. As we approach game time, I will throw on more Knicks gear. But for now, I am showing love, right? I got my Knicks slides on, so yes, I'm showing love. You know what I mean? Let's go Knicks. No ice tray this time. No tray in NYC. So yeah, let's go. I'm just like I'm hyped. You know what I mean? I'm like, I almost feel like a boxer, right? Like getting ready for the fight and whatnot. Like I'm so ready for it. I wish I could, be at MSG, but it's like $27,000 a ticket, so I get that, unfortunately. So, nah, but yeah. I guess to start off, like with the Doc Rivers thing, right? I mean, it's crazy. Honestly, I mean. I gotta say, I mean, Justin's probably one of the dudes that I really started watching NBA with when I was young. Like I remember, me and Justin watching the 2011 NBA Finals, and he came over to my house and we watched one of those games, and it was just crazy, right? Like, but at that time, Doc Rivers was still coaching in the NBA. I'm pretty sure he was still on the Celtics at that time. The Clippers had freaking Vinny Del Negro. If you guys remember him, I know Justin does, but so it's just kind of crazy because there's been a lot of controversy in his career. Of course, he's a menace at blowing 3-1 leads, right? All of that stuff, but to say the least, whether you love him or hate him, you do have to respect him, right? He's one of those guys, just like Tom Brady. You love him or hate him, like it's impossible to not respect him. Doc Rivers, even though he only has one championship as a head coach, I think his ability to get to the playoffs almost every single year with any team, especially that one Clippers team that had like Pat Bev and Lou Williams, that was pretty impressive. So shout out to Doc Rivers. I'm sure he'll probably go back to like commentating or something. But yeah, and then the play-in was that was pretty dope. I mean, it was a little bit disappointing. In some facets, right? I mean, I'm not gonna get into, everybody knows how I feel about the Heat. That was, that was beautiful. Just to see their season end. They needed that, and we'll talk about them in the mock draft, that's for sure. But outside of that, too, I mean, I think even the Hornets, I think most people would agree, right? Like the way they came out was very disappointing, especially for a team that's really trying to end that playoff drought. I just thought, a lot of people, I don't always like the argument of, oh well, this team just tried harder than the other team. I don't think it always works like that. A lot of times, one team just ends up shooting really badly and the other doesn't, and then it's like, the perception of effort gets mixed in there. But I do think we kind of saw it a little bit with Charlotte, where like they started feeling deflated, and guys like Miles Bridges were stupid things like punching Bane across the face because you're feeling frustrated. So Yeah, I just expect a little bit more from them. But shout out to the Orlando Magic. I mean, Justin knows I'm a big Paolo guy, but I keep it real too. I mean, he's been very disappointing all year, and it's been frustrating as somebody that's a Paolo fan. But he did show up last night. That's for sure. I got to give him the credit. He showed up. The Magic showed up, and if they play anything like that against Detroit, they could push them maybe to 6 games.
Yeah, the playing. I mean, the Heat. That Heat Hornets game was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Um, I guess that must be the new meta. Like whenever I was rooting for Miami because I bet Miami spread. And look, I'm rooting for Miami and they lose. So maybe I gotta start rooting for them more. But shout out
fact
to
that
both sides.
you could wear that jersey and then sit there and talk about, oh yeah, I'm glad to root for Miami. It's just like that's sacrilegious, Justin.
Well, I was only rooting for them for money purposes. Like,
Nah,
yeah, I have money on the line. If I had no money on the line, I would never root for the fucking team.
nah.
But but it was a fun game. Like,
Yeah,
and it was unfortunate the Bam injury, and it kind of frustrates me. Everybody like getting on Lamelo this week. Like, sure, it was a dirty play, I guess you could say. But me personally, I didn't think it was intentional at all. Um, when you're on the ground like that and there's like feet coming at you, you're kind of just like first reaction is just putting your hands in the way. And Lamelo's thin. Bam is 6'9", 260. For it to really be intentional, he would have had to really like grab him and like yank him. That wasn't. I think Lamelo was genuinely just like, and then I guess maybe he was like trying to brace himself, and Bam, unfortunately, his leg was in the way. Um, I do think they got the call wrong. Like, if they wasn't gonna, like, if they were in agreement with me, like that it wasn't intentional, because some people saying he should have got suspended or ejected. At least give that motherfucker like a flagrant, but they didn't do none of that. But it kind of sucked to see like everybody on the internet like calling out Lamelo, like it was like some outrage, and I was just frustrated because I'm like, when Joel Embiid did that to Mitchell Robinson, I didn't hear a fucking word from nobody. So just just keep that same energy. But and then the second playing game of Tuesday, the Denny Avdia masterclass, that was super fun to watch. He really put the whole world on notice of what he could do. And you saw Jalen Green go out and have a big time game. Devin Booker really struggled. And some of the questions I had for Phoenix was with the rotations. And we saw towards the end of the year with Phoenix, Rasheer Fleming was getting a lot more minutes. Kamal Malawach was getting a lot more minutes. And in this game against Portland, these guys didn't see any action. Ryan Dunn, I believe, played less than 10 minutes. So it was kind of just like confusing to me that we've had a sample size with some of these guys and they've shown flashes of success. And in a game like this, they didn't see any action. So that was pretty confusing to me. And then the Orlando Sixers game, it was just a joke of a performance from the Magic. Like, after that game, I was like, I hope they get waxed by Charlotte on Friday because this team does not deserve to be here at all. That was just an embarrassment. Like, I love Paulo, and I am not. Everybody is like off of Paulo. Now, I am still a believer of Paulo. Um, I just think he like the next coach is gonna have to really get in his ear like big time because a lot of people want to put the blame on this Magic season all on Jamal Mosley. I don't think like yeah he's part to blame, but I don't think a coach like I don't think he was like the sole problem. Like it's gonna take a lot of buy-in from everybody on that team, and that starts with Paulo. So I still believe in him. I'm still gonna be there for the next coach that hopefully gets in his ear and he performs better. And then we're gonna see people on Twitter trying to crawl back into the Paulo fan base. But I'm not gonna fall off on him that easily just because of what he's shown um throughout his career. And then that Clippers Warriors game, Steph Curry did it again. Al Horford doing his thing. Kawhi Leonard looked really he just looked human down the stretch, and it wasn't enough. Guy Santos gave the Warriors really good minutes. Um, and that's just what the Warriors do. They win games like that. Clippers fuck them now because OKC has their pick, and that's a
Yeah,
damn
I
shame.
know CP3 was saying the same thing.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then the Suns Warriors game. I thought the Warriors are gonna win, but when you get back to back Jalen Green heaters, good luck to the other team. Jalen Green had another monster game, 36 points in this game, 8 for 14 from three. Jordan Goodwin gave you 19 points. Devin Booker gave you a good 20 points. And it was a good overall team collective. The Warriors played well, but they got down too early, and Steph Curry struggled big time in this game. So they were just in too much of a big hole. I think they did cut it to like 10 at one point, but at that point it was kind of the Suns were just too on fire, and I think it was a good one for the Suns. But I feel like going forward, they're gonna need some type of point guard, or if you like Colin Gillespie enough, play him a little bit more. Because I don't like this point guard Book experiment at all. I like Book. I think Book is at his best when he's playing the two. He
Oh,
gets to just go worry about getting his bucket. Because Devin Booker to me, like he's one of my favorite players in terms of just like watching him play. Just like just as a fan of the game, just watching Devin Booker play
yeah.
is like one of the most like litish things. But I love him
He's a
playing.
pure bucket guy.
Yeah, I love watching him play at his actual like normal position. So
Yeah.
I don't. It's like every coach is trying to make their star player like a do it all player. Um, and that's not the case. Like Booker has shown flashes of him being able to do it, but he's just at his best when he gets to play the two. That's why we saw the best version of Book playing next to CP3. So hopefully they address that in the offseason. The Warriors, this might be the last hurrah. There's a lot of rumblings about this being Steve Kerr's like last year with the team, like he's done after this. And we'll see. And then Miami, I just want to say something real quick because it was funny because as soon as they lost, the first report was they're gonna go all in on a big time move this summer. And I'm like, yo, how many times have we been hearing that shit? How many times have we been hearing that and they don't get nobody, bro? After a report like that, Giannis better walk into that building because if he don't, I am coming back on here for another roast session. And then what was the other game? Oh yeah, Orlando Charlotte. That was another game, like you said. Orlando just came out right out the gate, punched Charlotte in the mouth, and I don't think Charlotte was expecting that. And it's kind of funny how the basketball gods humble the the NBA Twitter world, cause and just fans in general, cause like after Tuesday and Wednesday, everybody was just so out on the Magic and on the Suns, and yesterday was like a proven like, yeah, you can't just write these teams off like that. Like you had to see it coming. Like after the last two Magic games, like the loss against the Celtics, the last game of the season, and then the loss against Philly, everybody was out on them. And I'm like, they're due for a big game, bro. Like they're finally gonna be at home. Crowd is jumping. They're motivated to get into the playoffs. Um, Everybody was just completely out on them, and that's what the basketball gods will do to you. Anytime like the general consensus is out on a team, they're gonna show like the flashes of like this is why you guys like this in the first place. And it was the same thing vice versa with the Hornets. Everybody was immediately writing the Hornets in, penciling them into the playoffs, and they didn't make it, which I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good that they got to play these meaningful basketball games this season and they got to play high stakes basketball, which I think for them is a good sign going into the next season. Because without that terrible start to the season, I think next year the Hornets could very well be a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. So I think for them to just keep that core, add on to it, and just keep building into the future, I think the future is bright for Charlotte. And like you said too, Orlando and Detroit. I think Detroit still wins that series, but I think the best possible thing is for Orlando to really muck it up, beat up Detroit. Hopefully, Detroit comes out of that series a little banged up. That's really what I'm hoping for. And yeah, I hope Orlando could play how they did last night and push this series to 6 games, but it's just gonna be a lot to ask for at this point. But that is all the playing talk for now. Playoffs start today. We are recording this on a Saturday. My next episode won't be till next week, so throughout the week I'm gonna try to come out with like TikToks after games and just post them like that. But we are now moving. You said what?
I just gotta make sure. I'll make one offer real quick. You see this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this on the line right now. Giannis is not going to know Miami Heat. If he does, I'm gonna come back and give one. I might do a giveaway. I might come back and do a giveaway. I swear to God, because I'm not like I'm not doing this anymore. When Shams brings up the story in July, I'm telling you, I'm sleeping. My AC is on right now. It's going to be even higher. Okay, when that story comes out, I am not paying attention to none of that nonsense and garbage. Okay. The best player to end up with is like Kyle Anderson, bro. They're not ending up with no Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, man, bro. Bro. I feel like I heard it on some podcasts where it was like they're like Shams just be blowing these stories out of proportion, you know. Like Woj was never like dragging these stories out like this. Like Woj would just report the rumor and that's it. Leave it at that. Shams would just keep adding on to the shit. Like Shams was like the first dude to like report that Giannis might want to leave. And then that's a whole fucking breaking news alert on your phone. Not even like it pisses me off. Like Shams will literally report and it'll be breaking news all over everybody's phone. It'll be like Giannis might think about leaving. I'm like, yo, don't report nothing unless like he requested the trade or the trade happened. He's tweeting shit like Giannis is sitting at home thinking about his next destination. Like, bro, I don't want to see none of that alert shit until it happens.
Yeah, because the players are human too, and Giannis sees that, and for him, that does nothing but, what do you call it? Like encourage him, right, to keep on, like making the Bucks question and wonder, making all the fans question and wonder, because that's the whole point is he wants to win the narrative at the end of the day so that when he does ultimately leave, because I don't understand how or why he'd actually stay there. Okay, but when the divorce actually does happen, he'll always find a way to be able to justify it and say, hey, I didn't really ask to leave. This just became inevitable, But I do agree with you in that aspect. Like, I think at a certain point in time, like, Shams should not report anything about Giannis again until, like, July, honestly. Because at this point, he's not getting traded until, free agency hits. That period hits. He's not going to get traded during the draft probably because the Bucks are going to evaluate what they could do with free agency. And if they're unable to make some colossal trade again and get, like, some John Morant or something like that, which – I'm not counting them out and saying it's impossible the way they got Dame and Miles Turner and whatnot. But point is, I don't think I agree with you. I don't think it's convenient to keep reporting things like that. Just as credible as Shams is, it makes the stories less credible, and it makes the I guess legacy media of it all, because then ESPN and everybody does segments about it, right? And it's like it makes all of that less credible because we know nothing's going to happen until the season, of that season actually occurs. But
I'm this is like my last time talking about Giannis until something actually happens.
Yeah.
or something's close to happening. Like going forward, I'm only talking about the Bucks literally because of the draft. But that's really it. But getting to the draft, I'm not gonna share my screen just because just going back and forth with, and I would rather just talk about it like this. I don't know if you have something else on the side where you could view it, but I have it here just so it's better for like the clips and stuff. I'm gonna be on Fanspo, obviously. I'm doing Fanspo consensus. I'm gonna do a lottery simulation, so we're not gonna know the order until now.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
love
gonna
that.
yeah, I'm simming it right now. So
Yeah.
just for the listeners and all that, uh all right, this is funny. Guess who got the number one pick?
Who?
The Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh.
I'm gonna read you the teams from 1 to 14. So Memphis got number 1, the Nets got number 2, the Wizards got number 3, Hawks got number 4 via Milwaukee. The Clippers got number 5. That would have been the Pacers pick, but the Jazz fall to 6. The Sacramento Kings are at 7. The Bucks are at 8 via the Pelicans. Mavericks 9, Bulls 10, Warriors 11, OKC 12 via the Clippers, Miami 13, and Charlotte 14.
Wait, how did Bucks get via Pelicans?
I think that's from the what trade? I think the Hawks have the favorable pick between the Bucks and the Pelicans. So the Pelicans don't have their first round pick at all.
Yeah.
But the Hawks get the favorable one between Hawks get the favorable one between the Pelicans and the Bucks.
Okay. Yeah. So something weird like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, if Milwaukee jumps to like 3 or something, Atlanta could swoop in and take that, and they could just swap with Milwaukee. Yeah. Fucking Joe Dumars.
Yeah. I love Derek Queen, but holy crap.
Oh fuck. I simmed the lottery by accident. Can I go back to the old one? Damn, I simmed that shit by accident.
Oh, you filmed it again?
Yeah, fuck. Damn, I simmed it by accident. I meant to start it. But all right, so this is the new order. I didn't mean to sim it by accident. So the new order is Atlanta at 1, Brooklyn 2, Chicago 3, shout out to Anthony, Indiana 4, Wizards 5, Jazz 6, Kings 7, Grizzlies 8, Mavericks 9, Bucks 10, Warriors 11, OKC 12, Miami 13, Charlotte 14. Feels like 9 through 14 pretty much stayed the same. It's just like the top like 4 completely changed. All right, we're gonna use that one in the mock draft. Fanspo consensus, because the last mock draft we did, or I did, I used the ESPN consensus, and that shit was ass, because ESPN does the high school rankings. But since you are the guest, I will let you have the first pick, and you will be selecting for the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh man, wow.
This is via the Pelicans, by the way. So shout out Joe Dumars.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, like, why are you doing this to me, Joe Dumars? Like, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? But hey, man, listen, I love Derek Queen. Everyone knows that. But hey, I'm gonna cross my fingers like this and hope that doesn't become reality next month, because we're basically like almost exactly a month from the lottery. But
Yep.
with the first pick, this is probably going to be very, very, very surprising, because he was not going to be my initial number 1 overall pick. but I'm only doing it because of the team and because I'm like literally looking at the team. I'm looking at their depth chart, um, all of that good stuff, and I don't want to like. Uh, man, I mean, this is really, really hard because I love AJ Devonsta, but I don't know. I feel like Darren Peterson just fits this team too well. Like when I look at all the teams in the lottery, I think Atlanta is one of the teams that you could just plug in and play in there. They're in need of a point guard. No disrespect at all to CJ McCollum, but he's getting up there in age. They're gonna need a new point guard, and just matching him up with somebody like Dyson Daniels in there. Obviously Jalen Johnson, right? Nikhil Walker Alexander at the two. Like, you're gonna have a really, really good lineup that I think will be very, very balanced with both, offense and defense. And I mean, look, we're playing the Hawks right now. Well, not right now, but today. So obviously, like I don't want this is the last thing I want because they're already a playoff team, and I think this would just make them even better and solidify themselves as a top 4, top 5 team in the East for years to come. And I obviously don't want that, for them being a rival. But I just gotta say, like, I love AJ, and I do think in my personal opinion, I do think he's the best player in this draft. That's just my personal opinion, and I do think he might have the most potential out of the big three guys that everybody likes to mention. Even though I say big four because who I'm a big fan of. But honestly though, like as great as it, and I'm not saying AJ wouldn't be good on this team or fit on this team because he absolutely would, right? And I think him and Jalen Johnson at the 3 and 4, that's a pretty scary combo. But they do have other like players that can kind of fill that spot. They did just trade for Jonathan Kuminga, and Kuminga's been pretty solid for them since they got him, right. And trust me, I'm not saying Kuminga, I'm not comparing him to Demancis should be a much better player and prospect, right. I mean, we're talking about a guy with generational talent here, but so is Darren Peterson. And Darren Peterson, I mean, he's one of the few players that could be better than, Demancis and could be the best player in this draft, right? I mean, if you saw any of his games in Kansas, and I was able to catch a few, right? Probably like maybe 3 or 4 the whole season. Every game I was able to watch with him, I mean, he was just aggressive, high IQ player too. But aggressive, high IQ, knows how to get to his spots, very efficient player, right? I just think he's the type of player that Atlanta would love. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's like somewhere from that area.
Who? Darren Peterson?
Yeah.
From? I think he's from Ohio. I think Darren Peterson is from Ohio, if I'm not wrong. He's from Ohio, right?
Yeah, you're right. He went to West Virginia in high school, though, the Huntington.
Yeah, he's from he's from Canton, Ohio.
Yeah. We went to that Huntington prep school. That's where Mitchell Robinson went.
Oh, Huntington.
Yeah, in West Virginia. Yeah.
I think Andrew Wiggins went there.
Yeah, him too.
And Miles Bridges. But yeah, I agree with you. Atlanta number 1. I would also take Darren Peterson. But I do agree with you. I think AJ to me he's number 1 on my big board. I just feel like you could take AJ to Atlanta, but like you said, there's a lot, like they have things that they need, and I think guard is just something they need. Like CJ has played fantastic, especially post trade, and but he's getting up there in age. Nikhil Alexander Walker, I would still keep him around. He's been unbelievable post All-Star break. And I think just adding another playmaker to this lineup will do a lot. And I feel like that the fit with AJ, I feel like with AJ, Jalen, Kaminga is kind of like a logjam, especially
That's
when you still don't have like a solidified guard. And Darren Peterson, depending on who you ask, some people view him as the best player in this draft class and think he has the highest ceiling. So I would take that chance. Not only do you get a position of need, but you potentially get the best player in this draft. So I don't think you're wrong at all for taking Darren Peterson at one. And this is actually the team that I don't want to say I'm hoping, but like I was like, I would love to, like back when Atlanta was like bad during the season when they was really bad. I was like, yo, I would love to see Darren Peterson with the Hawks because that would be lit. But now since they're good, I'm like, fuck, that's tough.
exactly. Yeah. But I do just want to make one more point too, very very quickly. Like you look around in the league, right, and of course, Jokic, Giannis, and there's a lot of really big play. I mean, forwards, right? 6'8", 6'9", quintessential forwards that can do it all. A guy like Jalen Johnson. Every team needs that, and the Hawks already have that, and that's part of why I would rather have Darren Peterson because as much as you need that type of forward, this is also still a guards league, right? Thank you, Stephen Curry, because I'm just being honest now. Okay, let's just keep it real. I mean, you look at all the great teams that are competing right now in the West with the Thunder, Shea Gilgeous, the Nuggets with Jamal Murray, right? I mean, you need a really, really good guard nowadays, you know what I mean, to have a really and a jam with AJ as opposed to having somebody like Darren Peterson, who I think fits in a lot more seamlessly with Jalen Johnson in comparison to AJ.
Yeah. With the second overall pick, the Brooklyn Nets are on the clock. And this is a no-brainer for me. I will be taking AJ DeBenza. They desperately need
Everything.
some type of talent, like everything. Michael Porter Jr. gave them a great season, but after what the fuck they did last year in the draft, I know Nets fans would be super ecstatic to walk out of the draft lottery with a top 4 pick, and AJ DeBenza is gonna be that guy where he can grow in Brooklyn, like he can make those mistakes. The coach Fernandez could put him in the right positions to succeed. And he'll just be able to grow on a timeline, and they're just gonna have to add more guys around him. I mean, they're gonna try to. I think they're gonna try to be aggressive in the free agency as well, because the Brooklyn Nets do not have their own first round pick next year. So they're gonna be incentivized to try to be somewhat competitive. I do think I think they have our pick next year, but that's just gonna be in the late 20s. So, and so far the jury's out if like the Nets could really form a team draft wise. I mean, they've shown it in the 2010s, like the late 2010s when they built the D-Lo team and all that. But now, based on what they did last year, still up in the air. I do like Nolan Traore the most out of all the guys that they drafted. But I think this is the perfect spot for AJ. You get your star guy, like solidified. He is the guy you're building around, and then you just go from there. Would have been better if they. It would have been a lot smoother had they had a guy last year where it was like, all right, this is even better. Because as much as I like Traore, I don't know if I feel good enough about him to be like, oh yeah, that's the duo of the future, Traore and AJ. Like, had they got like Derek Queen last year, or I would feel a lot better of a Derek Queen and AJ like duo. But yeah, the Nets desperately need young talent, and AJ is going to be the guy that brings fans into the stadium.
Yeah, I agree with every word you just said. Listen, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I honestly I'm keeping it real with you. I don't give a shit. Okay, Listen, I really don't give a shit if they get unlucky and they drop to like the 7th and 8th pick.
Same. I hope they get like the fucking eighth pick, bro.
Like, in all honesty, okay, like your only mentality in this draft, okay, fuck the position, okay, you get the best player available, okay. I don't care if you end up with 15 point guards, you get the best player available because this team right now, okay, is basura. I got basura, okay, everywhere in this house, all right. It's like, it's reminding me of the Brooklyn Nets. There's a stench in there, okay? Honestly, when I go, sometimes to Queens and I see, City Field, I'm like, wow, what a stench. But every time I see the Barclays Center, I'm like, my goodness. I mean, it's just like Barclays Center should only be reserved for concerts and everything. Just get the Nets out of there, honestly. No, honestly, I do agree with everything you said, and I think they should get the best player available. But I also think, for Brooklyn, right? Like if I was them, I'd probably, the second, they know what their pick is in the lottery. They say, okay, they pick like 3 players that should be around and available in that range and say, we'll pick the best player available and we're done with this process. And now we're focused on Tyron Stokes in 2027 because that's what the Nets need right now is they need to build a franchise, okay, that they could actually – I mean, the Nets are literally, in my opinion, almost in the same position as the Jets, which I'm not going to get into a tangent into because I think the Jets need to sell their franchise – as a whole, because it's just embarrassing their fan base and you basically have to hug Jets fans at this point because how do you not feel bad for them, right? And it's getting to that point with the Nets too. I don't like the Nets, but I feel bad for their fans.
They can't even think about next year because they don't even have their own first round pick.
Shit, yo, you're making me, yo, you know what, yo, this is really bad. Now that. I mean, honestly, at this point, they should probably. I don't even know if they should keep this pick. To tell you the truth,
they literally
pick for like 4 first round.
This team's future literally depends on if they get a top 4 pick.
Yeah,
wow. If they fall to 7, if they fall to 6, actually, they're fucked. They're fucked.
Hug a Nets fan. But yeah, we'll move on because that's all I have to say. Just hug a Nets fan, and hope they get a top 5 pick. Really, top 3.
Yeah, actually, if you fall to 8, you're super fucked. But the next pick, you're on the clock. You will be picking for the Chicago Bulls at number 3. Shout out to Anthony. You got to make him proud right here.
Oh, man. This is a very, 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 very difficult pick for me right here. I think I'm going to shock the world, Justin. I
kind of think I know where you're going to go, and I'm not really mad at it because I see the next team that's up.
Yeah. Listen, man, Justin knows, one of my favorite players in this draft overall is a guy that unfortunately, we didn't get to see in March Madness because I was very, very excited to see him play. Even though I know I get it, Justin is a Dookie and he hates this team. Rightfully so, I understand. But, man, I mean, I just feel like, especially for the Chicago Bulls, I know that, Cam Boozer would, especially with his father, being a Bulls alum, I know that would be a great fit, but I cannot pass for this particular fit and team. I cannot pass up on Caleb Wilson. I just think he fits this team beautifully and seamlessly. Caleb Wilson is one of my favorite players in this draft. I love his motor. Probably my favorite thing about him. I think the guy, is going to go straight if the Bulls end up end up getting lucky and he does end up with the Bulls, which I think is a very low probability, but we'll see. I think he's going to bring such a big motor to them, something that, me and Justin said that they should have probably drafted Derek Queen, and Derek Queen would have been a guy that would have brought a lot of that for them. I mean, Caleb Wilson is a guy that, inside, I think he's one of the best players in this draft, right? I mean, he can obviously, grab the boards, but he's one of the best, scorers in the paint in this draft as well. I think, I'm not like disrespecting Cam Boozer because he is a great player, but I think inside of the paint, even though he's a little bit stronger, Caleb, he's just a fucking beast up there, bro. Like he is, a lot of people kind of compared him to Kevin Garnett a little bit in the paint, and yeah, I do kind of see that a little bit. Especially with his back to the basket as well. I mean, I just think he's a great fit for this team, and especially the fact that they're just loaded with guards as well, right? I think it's time for them to get a little bit more feisty up front. I love Buzelis, but I think if you could move him to the 3 and have him play, kind of like a big 3, because honestly, I think Buzelis is more naturally a 3, right, than a 4. But he's the size of a power forward, so I get why they want to put him there. But Caleb Wilson is a true power forward. So I think he would fit in that team just seamlessly. And of course, they would still need, a reliable setter that they can count on. But I love the fit for this team. Forgive me because again, Cam Boozer is a great player, and there's a very good chance he's probably going to end up a better player than Caleb Wilson. But I think, and I might be a little bit biased here because he's one of my favorite players in this draft. But I think he might, right behind AJ, I think he might have the most potential in this draft.
I'm not mad at that pick. I do agree that that is like a match made in heaven, Caleb Wilson to the Bulls. And I like that they jumped up in this mock because the last mock I did, they had like the 10th pick, and at that point it was just like hella guards. So this is actually really good for them. I think the pairing with him and Modest on the wings, that's going to be like a force to be reckoned with right there. That is a good foundation to have. And like you said, they have a bunch of guards. The next thing they're going to need is a young big man. And I think they could really start getting the ball rolling after that. So Caleb Wilson at 3, not mad at that at all. 4th pick, my guy. 4th pick, the Indiana Pacers. For me, this is a no-brainer. There was even reports that came out that if they had the number 1 pick, they would take him at number 1, and that is Cameron Boozer. Can't go wrong with Cam here. I know it's probably like questionable. Some people's like, where is he gonna play between Zubats and Siakam? I don't really worry about that. I feel like Cam Boozer is one of those guys that he's going to do whatever his coaches asked of him to do. So I think he's going to fit in seamlessly well wherever he goes. I think he's willing to sacrifice. I think he's one of those guys that I don't think he's going to fail at all in the NBA. A lot of people want to compare him to Tyler Hansbrough, Drew Timme. They think he's going to be out the league in a few years. But I don't think that at all. I think he's going to be he's the biggest winner going into the draft, and I think that's going to prove at the NBA level. He's going to do whatever it takes. And yeah, he might not have like the flashy play style like Caleb Wilson, AJ, and Peterson and Akov. He don't have the crazy highlights, but the production is there. The resume is there. You're talking about a guy that has won every single EYBL, every high school championship, just won National Player of the Year, won Gatorade Player of the Year. He's won all of that. And at the end of the day, he's a leader. As talented as the other guys are, and like as big games as they played in, Cam Boozer is undeniably a leader. You see it in the locker room as a freshman leading this Duke team, where everybody saw how stacked last year's Duke team, and then going into this year, they're like, oh, this team won't be as good as last year's team. And he took that responsibility and led one of the best teams in the country at that. So I think he's going to be very adaptable, and He's gonna be a pro ready to go, and he would be my pick for rookie of the year for this upcoming class. So I'm gonna take Cameron Boozer fourth overall to the Indiana Pacers.
I think that's really bold. Not the pick. I think the pick is obvious, but I think the prediction, because honestly, I don't think I'll be able to make a rookie of the year prediction until like maybe preseason or something, because first of all I got to see where these guys land, but this could be one of those. This could be one of those ones, Justin. One of those drafts, like, you know what I mean? Um, there's just so many good players here that I think, and I hope we're right, but honestly, I think most of the players in this lottery could last for 10 to 15 years in the league, depending on how their careers go. But who has the next pick?
Right now, fifth overall pick is the Washington Wizards.
Ooh, I like this. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think they should get a top 3 pick, in my opinion, but honestly, I gotta say, a lot of people, and I get it, I understand. We're kind of haters of the whole Trae Young and Anthony Davis trades, but if you're the Washington Wizards, like, I'm sorry, I gotta say it, but fuck it, like, why not, bro? You are literally number 30th overall in the NBA in ticket sales. Number 30 in not just ticket sales, but jersey sales. You combine those two things together, Justin, that is a nightmare. That is a recipe for disaster. If they were playing if that was Memphis, Memphis would be in a new city next year. Okay, but because this is Washington, D.C., it's obviously going to stay put, if it's a big market. But, the Washington Wizards right now, I really, really like what they've done. Now, obviously the very, obvious big what if in the room is Anthony Davis's health. I mean, congratulations. The sky is blue, everybody, right? Like, no shit, obviously. Okay, if he stays healthy, Trae Young stays healthy, this could be a really, really good team. So I think there's several directions for them to go, but I think it's pretty obvious they probably wouldn't pick Darren Peterson. That just, logically, I wouldn't make too much sense. I don't think Peterson would be happy about that either. I think quintessentially their best option for them would be to get a forward. But, the only issue right now is kind of the top forwards in this draft have been taken. So, we're at a point where, they would probably want to take another guard. And if I'm looking at a guard, I don't want to pick a point guard. And, listen, so I know there's a good chance, depending on who picks next, you'll end up picking this guy because you know how much I love Darius Akoff. But I just don't think he's a good fit or match for this team with Trae Young. So I'm going to go a different route here. And with the 5th pick for the Washington Wizards, I'm going to pick Keaton Wagler. I think that him with Trae Young, putting Keaton Wagler at the 2 guard, because I know he was mainly the point guard for Illinois, but I think he's a great combo guard. I saw one comp to him, to Brandon Roy. Honestly, I thought, if you really watch Brandon Roy's tape, I thought that was a really good comparison, to be honest. And, he's just somebody that he's one of those, he's kind of like Devin Booker in the sense, right, where how you were talking about Devin Booker is, a guy that can, he's a great ball handler, right? And, he can kind of disguise himself as a point guard because of how much he can handle the ball, but he's really a shooting guard. You know what I mean? And that's kind of in some way what I see with Keaton Wagler. But this is a guy that could obviously shoot the ball pretty efficiently, and still has those point guard credentials, right, where he's still able to pass the ball, still has great vision, right? But I think, obviously the big thing, especially with Trae Young back there, of course, you're always going to question, the defense in the backcourt. And, I think, that's the only issue. Now I think with Acuff, uh, especially with kind of how things turned out, right there's some ugly film with Acuff on defense. I won't lie there, but I think Acuff, based on his like physical capabilities, I think he's better suited defensively. But I'm just looking at the fit overall, and I think Wagler's the better fit for this backcourt with Trae Young there, and then hopefully, honestly, I think they really should get a top 3 to 4 pick, because I think having a small forward for them would be their best the best way for them to go. And this is a very guard loaded draft at the top, but in this position, I think Wagler's their best choice.
Yeah, this is like the problem with the draft lottery. Like the Wizards have the worst record in the NBA, and they're dropping to fifth. And we want, and I know yeah, and I know I sound like a fucking broken record always talking about it, but like this is why we have the problems we have, because you have a 17-win team falling to the fifth pick. Like this team should be walking away with AJ DeBanza, and that'll expedite the process in this team not having a tank for continuous years. But this is why
I think they could be in the play-in next year.
Yeah, like that would expedite the process of the Wizards not having a tank. The reason why this shit keeps on happening is because we constantly have teams that have the worst record falling back to like the fifth or sixth pick, and then BPA will be fucking Obi Toppin, no disrespect. Like it will be that when you could have had a generational dude that could have changed the franchise. So I sound like a broken record, but this is the issue. Like no disrespect to Keaton Wagler, like he's a really good player. I like his game, but like seeing the Wizards have a 17-win season, and it's like, I mean, I guess on the bright side, you have Trae Young coming in, Anthony Davis coming in, and then you're adding a top 5 pick on top of that. It's like you could talk yourself into that, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and honestly, if you want to be honest, I think that last point you made was probably part of the incentive of them to get Trae Young and Anthony Davis, because they probably said to themselves, God forbid there's a scenario where we drop down to like the 5th pick, at least we have these 2 stars that we can, lean on, right? It could still help us develop a pretty solid team. But if they are able to get AJ DeBanza, that would be, like I'm actually rooting for the Wizards to get the number 1 overall pick, and I do hope that they end up with DeBanza, because they do deserve it.
Because that's what happened to them last year.
The right way. So
that's what happened to them last year. They fell to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was looking back, like the Wizards have gotten 4 number 1 overall picks in franchise history. You had John Wall in 2010. You got like a good 8 years out of him, and then he got hurt. And you had Kwame Brown before that. And then before that, it was like, I think it was in the 60s. They might have had like, but like nobody remembers that shit.
Kwame Brown.
So, all right, the 6th overall pick, I will be picking for the Utah Jazz. And this is a team that I'm very excited for next season with their additions. There's 2 guys I'm really thinking about for them. And I'm kind of leaning towards one, not because I think he's better than the other guy. I just think maybe I'm thinking too much of fit. But I just feel like he fits in slightly better with this team. And I think it'll be easier to like mold him and integrate him in. But the 2 guys I'm thinking about right here is obviously Darius Acuff and Kingston Flemings, but I'm low key leaning towards Kingston Flemings just because defensively he's better than Acuff, and I think he'll just be able to fit alongside uh Keontae George without like them clashing with each other, and it fits what they're trying to build defensively with Jaren Jackson, Walker Kessler, and stuff like that. I feel like with Darius Acuff, as exciting as it is, the having him and Keontae George as your backcourt, you're gonna get fried. Like, and then they're probably gonna get in each other's way trying to score. Maybe not. I think Acuff does show a little bit more as a passer. Um, I feel like in terms of like highlight box office, like must see TV, Acuff would be the pick here. But I think I'm gonna go with Kingston Flemings here for the Utah Jazz. Shot 38% from three, shown um to be a pesky defender. And I think he's a guy that he could fit in with what this Utah Jazz team is trying to do. Um, and some people this is PG1. I don't believe so, but I think he could fit into what this group is trying to do, and I believe in what Ace Bailey has shown in the last month and a half of the season that he can continue to grow from that. So I don't think they necessarily need another like scoring guard, especially with the season that Keontae just had. I think he could continue to build on that. I think Ace Bailey can continue to build on what he's shown you. So I think having Kingston Fleming, a guard that could play his role, compete defensively, finish plays, I think that'll be good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And again, I think as great as this draft is, the only difficulty for teams that they're going to have to navigate is the fact that it is so like guard heavy at the top, and a team like Utah, they do have Keontae George already, who's one of the best young point guards in the league, and there's no doubt about that for sure. But he can, kind of be a combo guard in his own facet. And, I think when you look at Acuff, he's a little bit more of, a natural point guard that's going to need the ball in his hands a little bit more, right? And I feel like that might conflict a little bit more with Keontae George, as opposed to Kingston Flemings, right? And, I do think that Kingston Flemings, also could – fit in a little bit more seamlessly with that team. And I do agree too, right? Utah is a little bit interesting because obviously they got Jaren Jackson, and it's like, are they going to keep Lauri Markkanen there? And if they don't, then what are they going to turn that into? Because at this point, they don't have like too many needs. If they keep Lauri Markkanen, they're not going to need, their only need would probably be maybe like a shooting guard up front, right? Or maybe even somebody that could come off the bench for them initially. But I just think it's a clunky and a weird fit with Acuff. I think even Flemings, isn't necessarily the most ideal fit. And I think, not that he isn't a great player, Flemings, but I think, if I'm Utah, I wouldn't mind exploring to trade back a little bit if they're able to get maybe the number 9, 10, 11 pick, right? They could probably get a shooting guard in there, pretty solid shooting guard. Still probably be able to pick later on in the draft. Maybe get some bench asset or something. But yeah.
The next pick you will be picking for the Sacramento Kings with the 7th pick.
Woo! Oh, man. Why do I got to do this? Yeah, the Sacramento Kings right now, okay, I'm almost I'm this close to boycotting this team. It's just, we're not going to talk about politics and everything, right? But everybody talks about, regime change, right? Regime change for the Kings, the Sacramento Kings. Right now. Okay, I'm sorry, but Vivek Ranadiv and Vlade Divas and all of them right now. Okay, regime change because I mean, Justin, just look at this roster. What in the world is this team? What
This
is
team
this?
is ass.
What is this team? Like Russell Westbrook, Domantas Sabonis, and DeMar DeRozan? Exactly. Like
The only positive thing I like about this team is Maxime Reynaud, Nick Clifford, and Devin Carter.
Yeah. So listen, I'm picking for the Kings right now, right? That means I'm their GM. So we're operating, Justin. I'm operating in the sense that as soon as this draft is over, a week after the draft, right? It's basically free agency. As soon as that hits, listen, I'm grabbing this. I'm calling the agents of Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis, and I'm saying adios, amigos. We're done. It was great, having you here, but get the fuck out. Okay, we're done with that. This team needs to restart right now. And ever since De'Aaron Fox was traded, really ever since Tyrese Halliburton was traded, okay, because that just never made sense from the start, getting those two together. Now they have a crisis at that very particular position. So, my goodness, I do not want to ruin your career because I love you so much as a player. This was one of the players that before the season started, before the college season started, actually when March Madness was happening last year, and I was, all over Maryland and the Terrapins and Dairy Queen. Me and Justin were doing way too early mock drafts, and I was talking about I really like Darius Acuff. But my goodness, I just, I'm sending him to a team that, is notorious for ruining careers. Okay, is notorious for, I mean, I don't want to do it and send him there if I'm going to do it. And, again, I'm the GM, so I'm operating in the sense that I'm cleaning the whole house here because this just got to go. Because this team, I mean, bro, they were like the 13th seed this year, okay? And you got DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Domantas Sabonis. That is fucking embarrassing.
That would have been that would have been a super
Russell
team,
Westbrook,
and
too.
that would have been a super team in like 2018.
I love Russell Westbrook. He is going to make it to the Hall of Fame one day. He's got the heart of a champion. I feel like if you're, diehard NBA fan like me and Justin, it's hard to not love Russ. But what the fuck are you doing on the Kings, bro? Get the hell out of there, bro. Okay?
It's crazy, yo.
I hate the Hawks. I hate the Hawks. I'd rather see him on the Hawks. I'd rather see him, in the playoffs beating up against the Knicks with the Hawks than I would on the Kings. The hell are you doing on the fucking Kings, bro?
This Kings team would have been a super team in 2020.
Darius Acuff will send you over there, but the only thing we're going to do after that is hope and pray because, if things don't go out, just don't even sign the rookie extension and just get the fuck out of there.
If I was
that they reset their franchise and they start with you as their reset.
I'm not gonna lie, if I was Darius Acuff and the Kings selected me, I would pull the Steve Francis and tell them like, yo, I'm not going there. So trade me. It hasn't happened in a minute, and I wouldn't be upset. Cause
I wouldn't either.
I hate picking for the Kings because part of me is like, bro, like it might like your career might be done. Like the last mock draft I did, I was like, yo,
seriously.
the last mock draft I did, I think the Kings were I was like, I think I said, if Caleb Wilson ended up on the Kings, we might not hear from him again until he goes to his next team.
Yo, Justin, don't say that, bro. Yo. No, with Caleb Wilson, don't say that, bro.
I was like, yo.
They will be the dumbasses to, oh, wow, we have Domantas Sabonis. Yeah, we'll just pick the dumbasses that would do that.
Yeah, so.
No.
I've already spoken my piece about Acuff. I love his game. I kind of fell back from him being my favorite player in the draft because now everybody's jumped on that bandwagon. So
yeah,
I still love him, but I'm hopping off. But
that's why I'm still like I still love Caleb Wilson a whole lot.
So, but
probably
good luck to Acuff in Sacramento. Next pick, the 8th pick, I am picking for the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a lot of shit going on. They do have a lot of picks that they got back from the Jaren trade, the Desmond Bain trade. So the future is bright for this team. Um, I really like what I saw from Cedric Coward this season. You still have a lot of young guys with promise, like Zach Edey was injured, but you're still like hyped to see what he can give you. You still have Walter Clayton. Cam Spencer is really good in his minutes. Scottie Pippen Jr. was injured for a lot of the year, but I like what he gives you. Jalen Wells, um, really good rookie year. Second year was kind of up and down. And then John Morant's future is up in the air. I don't think he's gonna be on this team, and if he does start the year with the team next year, I don't see him being there past the trade deadline. So here I'm just gonna take best player available. Um, and I'm just gonna take Mikael Brown or Michael Brown. That's what I hear on the fucking on what the commentators. I don't know how to fucking I don't know if it's Mikael, but every time I hear like announcers say it in games, they say Michael. So,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna take Mikael Brown, eighth overall to the Grizzlies. May not be the perfect fit, but I think he's just best player available at this spot. And I think it's good because at 6'5", 190, you could play him alongside John Morant if you do keep him for a little bit. And if you do move on from John Morant, he could be your point guard of the future. And um you have like a little core with Mikael Brown, Jalen Wells, Cedric Coward, um, Zach Edey at the 5, and then your 4 spot is still up in the air because Santi Aldama, you don't know what's in store with him because with the Grizzlies wanting to go full rebuild, maybe he's a candidate to be traded. Taylor Hendricks, the jury's still out on him. I know he's dealt with injuries, but uh, it's, his career is like up in the air. We don't know. So I'm gonna take Mikael Brown here. I think that'll be just getting BPA in the building for Memphis. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's just kind of funny how um, the first draft we simulated, they had the first pick, and then they drop all the way to the 8th. It's just, kind of
Tragic.
crazy how those things work because I do think Memphis is one of those few teams, in my personal opinion, that really does deserve the first pick, right? Because Memphis does everything the right way. They have great player development as well, right? But they never try to like cheat things out and all of that stuff. So, especially with the whole grit and grind there. I mean, this is just a team, in my opinion, that deserves to, have a great team in the finals run. And of course, their fans who are very loyal and whatnot. And it's just like one of the, like when they're a really good team, this sounds like one of the loudest buildings in the entire NBA. Um, but I trust their player development a lot. Cedric Coward is has turned into one of my favorite young players in the NBA. But honestly, I mean, this Grizzlies team, I know, they're going to turn into one of my favorite teams again soon because, it's just like I said with their player development. But I do think I don't actually entirely agree that Mikael Brown isn't, like a great fit for this team because if you want to be honest with you, I think the first thing that you mentioned kind of contradicts that where if they do end up trading John Morant, which in my opinion I think is very likely, and I think they should prioritize it because it's like does it really fit with this team anymore, especially after trading Jaren Jackson. Mikael Brown's kind of like that player, right? He's an oversized point guard, right? He's a little bit taller than John Morant, and he's a better shooter, way better shooter than John Morant. He's somebody I think that really could replace him in the backcourt. I think honestly, in my personal opinion, Justin, I think that's a really good, obviously they'll be a little bit oversized, but in the NBA, is that a bad thing, right? Have an oversized backcourt of Mikael Brown and Cedric Coward. I really, really like that backcourt, Justin. Like honestly, if I would not be mad at all if they did drop down to this pick and they got Mikael Brown, just like what you said. Now, I honestly would like it a lot. Like I would really, really hope that they would experiment with that backcourt in the season with him and Cedric Coward. I think that could be one of the better scoring duos. Like I think they could put up 35, 40 points together, just them two alone, a game.
Yeah.
They're also, they both have Coward's obviously a great defender, but Mikhail Brown, he's got the length too. I know, he's I think only like 180 pounds, something like that, but he's still
He's 190 according to Fanspo.
okay. Yeah, it's not bad for somebody who's 6'4", 6'5", right? So
6'5".
yeah, so that's not bad at all. I'm sure he definitely has a lot of hidden strength there, but I know defense is not necessarily his strong suit, Mikhail Brown, but I think you can make the argument, right? He might have had a better defensive tape than Darius Acuff, because there were times Acuff was getting a little bit cooked on defense, right? So honestly, Justin, I think it's a really good fit, and I think you're underestimating the fit just a little bit. I think it could be a little bit better than what you anticipate. So I actually really like it for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, and I think he shot 34% from three this year. I think he's actually a better shooter than the numbers show.
Absolutely.
I was watching his
He's got
tape
great
from
form.
I was watching his tape from the FIBA from the summer, and he was pulling that shit from like NBA range and just knocking shit down. And he's also an 84% free throw shooter, so I think he's gonna be fine in that aspect. I just think the Louisville situation was it was a little weird, like up and down year, just because he was in and out with injury. So that's also, and he was also playing for a coach in Pat Kelsey that was like, "Yo, just fire them up." Like he would have games where he's like 2 for 13 from three, but that's what his coach wanted him to do to prepare him for the NBA game. Just taking a higher volume of threes. Yeah, the spacing wasn't really there, but once you get to the next level, the spacing is going to be there, and I think he's going to improve tremendously.
Yep.
So I like this spot more for him in that sense. Ninth pick, you will be picking for the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh man, this is a little bit of a difficult one, only because I don't quite know what they're gonna do with Kyrie Irving, right? I mean, it seems like they're going to keep him and whatnot. Which I don't think is necessarily a bad idea, but I don't know. I feel like, especially after Luka Doncic era, if you just really want to focus on, Cooper Flag. I mean, the guy is still a freaking kid. I mean, he just turned 19. He's going to turn 20 in December. That's a baby in the NBA. I wouldn't be upset if they got, if they started prioritizing their backcourt for the future. I forget if Klay Thompson's contract is expiring, but he's obviously not part of their long-term plans. And so I think they need to start focusing, on their backcourt. And honestly, I think a pretty solid player for them to get. He's obviously not going to start right away for them, of course. But I just think with, how this team is trending and how they want to play, I think I kind of like LeBaron Feinstein for this team. I don't like him right now for this team, but I like him, for the long term. I like the type of player that he is, alongside of a Cooper Flag, right? And then, whatever else they decide to do, I'm sure, they'll, prioritize trying to keep Derek Lively as well, and I think they should. But I don't know. I kind of like LeBaron Feinstein for this team. LeBaron Feinstein obviously is a guy last year who, faced injury, right? So he didn't really get to play a full season. But, Feinstein is still somebody. I mean, he's one of the better guards in this league. Or I said in this league, like he's already, drafted. But he's one of the better guards in this entire draft, right? But he's one of those guys where, like you don't think of him as a Mikhail Brown or, even like a Darius Acuff, right? Like somebody that, has a lethal jump shot that's just going to be like pulling up from everywhere. He's somewhat more like, I don't know if this will make sense, but he's like a more advanced version of a Dennis Schroeder. You know what I mean? That's kind of what he is, right? Where, he's somebody that has great instincts, capacity. Kind of reminds me of the Jonte Murray a little bit. You know what I mean? Where he's somebody that he's kind of like that quintessential point guard where he's a great passer, has great vision, is really good at getting guys involved. He could also score the ball. He's just not necessarily a strong 3-point shooter or has the strongest jump shot, but he's still somebody that's able to get the ball in the basket. But I think for somebody that's going to be playing alongside Cooper Flag, I think somebody that's able to, take that pressure off of him, right, as that type of point guard that can help distribute the ball and find Cooper Flag in his good spots. I kind of like LeBaron Philon for this team, and just, if they're picking for this spot, I think he's one of the better options for them.
Say locking in LeBaron Philon?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I love his game. He's improved tremendously. Last year, like he played last year, but not a ton because he was playing behind Marcus Spears. No, not Marcus Spears. Mark Sears. I'm thinking of fucking the top prospect Marcus Spears, but he was playing behind Mark Sears and Aiden Holloway, and he did show some signs last year, but this year he came back and improved tremendously. Shot 39% from 3, 50 from the field. I love his game. He could score in a multitude of ways, and it's an interesting fit in Dallas because I feel like with his play style, he would have to be like a spark plug coming off the bench, and I mean he gets to learn under Kyrie, but it's gonna take some time. But the next pick, 10th overall pick, the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, I'm not talking about I think Giannis is out of here. This team, they should honestly go full rebuild if they do trade Giannis. I do like the year that Ryan Rollins gave you, and just looking at the available players, I don't see anybody that's big time, high upside dude. That's oh, this is gonna be a superstar, which you might not. You can't bank on that for this draft right away. You're just gonna have to build throughout. And I'm gonna take Braden Berries here at 10. I think he is my favorite player in the draft at this point. Combo guard, big guard. He plays the right way. I think having a backcourt of Ryan Rollins and Braden Berries, you're kind of solidifying yourself. So when you do eventually start getting those draft compensation and picks back for Giannis and maybe for Miles Turner and all these guys, the next draft that comes up, then you could possibly get lucky and get your franchise guy, and now you have your solidified backcourt. So I feel like Braden Berries is one of those guys you could plug him in. He's probably the guy I would have taken at 9 for Dallas because I feel like he's a guy that even if you move on from Klay Thompson, you could play him alongside of Kyrie, and you could have him learn, and then he could eventually be that lead ball handler. But you could also play him with another guard next to him. So I'm gonna take Braden Berries here. I think he's gonna be a guy that plays a long time in this league. He's gonna be a winner. And just solidifying that backcourt. It's hard to have a good backcourt in the NBA. It's hard to find a good pairing. So to show that up now, I think that's good. And this is gonna be 2 mock drafts in a row where I take Braden Berries to the Bucks at 10. The next pick you will be picking for the Golden State Warriors at 11.
Oh man, I mean this is a team. If I'm going to be honest with you, Justin, kind of similarly like how I said with the Kings. Right now, of course, I'm not going to be anywhere as close as disrespectful because this is the Warriors here, and this is a first-class franchise and organization. I respect that. But I think, a lot of times these types of organizations become a little bit delusional and they start holding on to things that are clearly dying and dead. And So I'm just gonna operate from the sense that, because I'm just keeping it real with you, Justin. I don't hate this team, but I hate this team. Like I don't, like I'm sorry, like it's over. Like Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Al Harford, Kristaps Porzingis, Stephen Curry. You're just dreaming at this point. You're dreaming. Okay, what, you think you're gonna beat the Denver Nuggets? Think you're gonna be OKC? I don't even think you're gonna beat Minnesota with that. Okay, freaking Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards. I think they'll whip your ass. Okay, honestly. So I'm gonna, that's my little tangent on that, but I'm gonna operate Justin from the sense that again, I mean, of course, right? Steph Curry's not going to retire, I don't think, and I don't know where he would go next year, right? So I'm just going to operate as if I'm, preparing for Stephen Curry's eventual exit. Meaning I don't give a shit about any position at this point. I'm just taking, who I think, could be the best player available, or, perhaps somebody they can, I guess, lean on to in the future. And this might surprise you a little bit, but I'm kind of just like looking around a little bit, and one of the things that I'm really trying to prioritize here is potential. So I'm gonna pick the prospect. I'm gonna, I guess pick our first international guy here. Go a little bit off of on a limb here, and I think I'm gonna pick the Mexican prospect that's playing in New Zealand right now, Kareem Lopez. Yes. I kind of wanted to pick Yaxel here, and I love Yaxel, but I feel like he's probably better suited for a team that already has the assets of a team like a Wizards type of team, for example. If they ended up falling and they're unable to get AJ, I kind of like it for them here only because the Warriors, in my opinion, have all the time in the world to develop players, and Kareem Lopez is very, very young, but he's also the type of player, right, where he's got that type of build where he can kind of do it all. Right, I mean, he's he's a little bit short for a forward, but I think he's like 6'6". He still has great strength, and he's somebody.
Well, he's actually 6. According to Fanspo, he's 6'9", and according to Tankathon, he's 6'8".
Okay, yeah. So I see a bunch of different measurements. I saw one where they had him at 6'6", but still, I mean. Overall, right, like I think he's still 19 years old. I just think he's somebody, he's actually doing pretty well. I think he's averaging like 16, 17 points over there. Or no, I'm looking at something else.
I think this is per 36.
Yeah. But this is per 36. But what do you call overall? I just think, like I said, this is a team, like they could go multiple directions, right? I was looking at other guys. I probably would have, maybe just like picked Braden Burries because he was the best overall player. And honestly, I was somewhat kind of thinking of Nate Ahmet, but, I just think he's more of a guy that needs a little bit more development. Memphis, Utah type of team. So I'm going to stick with Kareem Lopez here. It might be a little bit higher than what most prospects have for him. But with this Warriors team, they're going in the opposite direction, and I'm trying to pull them in. So, I say why not? At this point in the draft, I don't think it would kill them if they got it, if it ended up being the wrong pick.
Yeah, Kareem Lopez. Shout out to him. 12th overall pick. I will be picking for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shout out to the Clippers. I'm just gonna go out and take him, man. I'm gonna take Axel Lendenborg. I'm gonna take him here to OKC. I know fans are like, well, not OKC fans, but NBA fans are like, fuck, man. Like we cannot allow this to happen. But this is a great spot for him. I think he's gonna be 24 years old at the start of the season. Um, a guy who's probably the second best player in all of college basketball walks into a situation where he's not gonna be asked to do a crazy amount of things, and you could just add on to this Oklahoma City front court because the future of Hartenstein is up in the air because you never know if he's going to be traded and stuff like that. Thomas Sorber's coming off an injury, so you don't know how he's going to look. Chet Holmgren, great player. You always have to be concerned if he's going to be injured. So I think just getting Axel Lendenborg, you're beefing up that front court because I feel like that was always the thing for OKC to like for their team, like their one. I'm not gonna say weakness, but like if you wanted to have like more depth, I guess in the front court would be like the spot. Because I feel like at the guards, I think they're set. Like you got Shea, who's the fucking best guy in the game next to Jokic. You have Cason Wallace, who's one of the best POA defenders as a guard. You have AJ Mitchell, who's shown tremendous improvement this season, and then you have Nikola Topic, TBD on what he's gonna look like. But I think from the guard spot, you're pretty set, and I think Axel Lendenborg gives them a ready now player, off rip, and he can fit in very well with the team.
Yeah, I agree. I like that for them a lot. I mean, I don't think there's really much else to say other than, in my personal opinion, I just don't think OKC has any business picking here. But thank you, Clippers. So, it is what it is. But if he ended up on this team, that's a problem. But the problem is they're picking in a position where they're most likely still going to get a great player. So whoever they pick is going to be a problem. So, again, thank you, Clippers.
This is so funny because now you will be picking 13th for the Miami Heat. He said, I'd rather fucking leave than pick for the Heat.
God. All right. I guess I'll be nice and do this. I feel like there's, again, several different directions you could go. I think there's a couple of big men in this draft, that are waiting to be taken that, I think could fit in this range. But, this is the Miami Heat, and they already have Khalil Ware and Bam Adebayo, so I don't think they have any business picking a big man. So how about this, right? We're going to stop the same way that you said, and I couldn't agree more. We're going to stop the Devin Booker at point guard experience. We're going to do the exact same thing with Tyler Hero. We're done. Okay, Justin? This is over. We're done. Tyler Hero is not a point guard. He's a shooting guard, okay? You know who is a point guard, though? And you know who, as much as I hate the Heat, I think can cause a lot of problems for a lot of teams if they're able to, pick this guy. That's Bennett Sturts, okay. From Iowa. You match him up, okay, with another shooter like Tyler Hero. I think that's going to cause, for this Miami Heat team with Eric Spoelstra, okay, I think that's going to cause a whole lot of issues. Now, we all know, I already gave everybody the offer. They're not going to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, okay? So, I think at this point they need to prioritize their future and just having a good overall roster that's going to have good depth, okay, since you guys are very stubborn and you wouldn't trade two pennies for a dime for a superstar. Okay, just sit there like disciplined little Pat Riley slaves. All right, no, I'm sorry, but no, honestly, just I think there's several different directions they could go. There is another guard. I don't want to say his name just yet because you might end up picking him very soon. But there's another guard you could have made that argument with. But I don't think he's a point guard. So I think that would have kept Hero at the shooting guard. But I think having this backcourt, your only question, of course, Justin, right, is the defense. But this is the Miami Heat, and I'm confident Eric Spoelstra would be able to find ways to disguise that, right? But I like that backcourt for the Heat, and I think that would be very deadly in terms of spacing. And honestly, I think that would, be a blessing in disguise for somebody like Bam Adebayo, because that'd create even more spacing for him to operate.
So Bennett Sturts goes 13th to the Miami Heat, and I will be picking 14th to round out the lottery for the Charlotte Hornets. And this is an interesting spot for them. Obviously, they get this after losing in the play-in. But for them, I am going to go with, and I know this may not be a popular pick for people because you saw how great Musa Diabate played this year and the flashes from Ryan Kalkbrenner. But I'm going to go with Hannes Steinbach from Washington. I think this is another guy to add to the front court. I think this dude is really talented. Like, he plays really well in the front court. He plays really well in transition. He's the type of guy that he could bring the ball up by himself at 6'11", punch it on you. He's a good partner in the pick and roll. And it feels like every time I've seen his tape, it's like pick and roll. He's dunking on everybody in transition, 2 dribbles, punch it on somebody. And he's shown some flashes of being a pick and popper. He's probably going to have to improve a little bit more on that. But I think he could probably thrive in Charlotte playing alongside LaMelo, Khan, Brandon Miller. He did shoot 34% from 3. And he shot 57% from the field. I think he's going to be able to fit in to what Charlotte is trying to do, playing fast and just adding more depth to the front court isn't bad at all. And it allows you to play different styles from when he's in the game and when Kalkbrenner's in the game. You could probably play Steinbach and Diabate together. I think it just gives you a flash for, like, if they do decide to keep Miles Bridges, when he goes to the bench, you bring in Hannes Steinbach, and it's like we never left. Like, we're still rolling. We still want to play how we want to play. And I think this could be a spot where he thrives in.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And to be honest, with the team that we just saw with the Hornets, right? Like, Steinbach ain't that guy that's gonna, back down and just, just like kind of give in and whatnot, right? He's feisty, he's, aggressive, and I like what he said. I mean, I think he's arguably the best pure, like big man and center in this draft. He's definitely up there if he's not number one, because this is very guard heavy, and the top has a lot of forwards as well. So as we get down right like him, I like him more than Senak, to be honest. But
I thought about him here too, but I was like, I just like Steinbach more than
Steinbach is just a beast, bro.
He's a fucking dog. He's a fucking beast, bro.
Like I could see him being a double machine in the NBA. I'm sorry, but I can absolutely see that. And
I feel like I'm gonna end up liking him more. Like, just going into the draft process, I'm like, this dude is fucking insane.
No, 100%. And honestly, for a team like the Hornets, I think they need that. The pick and roll with him and LaMelo, right? Obviously, that would be intriguing to watch. But I think the other thing too is in this league, right? We see Justin centers are by far the most vulnerable position with getting injured. And honestly, it's not really their fault, in my opinion. It's just the way their bodies are built, right? I mean, let's be honest. We're talking about people that are 7 feet tall with that much mass on their body. When they would land awkwardly, it's much different than me landing awkwardly, okay? It just is. Um, so they're a lot more injury prone. And in my personal opinion, having to, like, even with the Knicks, right? We got Cat, we got Mitch, and Huckporty. I think that's perfect. I think that's enough. And I think it's the same thing with the Hornets. If you can have a center lineup of um, Steinbach, Kalkbrenner, and Musa Diabate, that's a really, really good depth, right? Like, that's, that's the type of depth that the 76ers with Joel Embiid need. So I really like that fit a lot. And Steinbach, I agree with you. I think as we get closer to the draft, is just somebody I'm going to like more and more. And I think any team that really is desperate for a big man should absolutely, like, the Lakers should go and try to trade out for him immediately. Okay. And they might be able to pull it off. I don't know. I'm not going to count out Rob Pelinka. But I look around the league and I like, this is a team that needs Steinbach. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe the Lakers could pull off something with the Hornets. They traded with them before. And infamously, we know Kobe Bryant was traded to was drafted to the Hornets and traded to the Lakers. The worst mistake they ever made as a franchise, the Hornets. But
So was Shea drafted by the Hornets, traded to the Clippers?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you're right. So
Twice they did that shit.
Yeah, so they wouldn't want to make that mistake again, but still, I just with the Lakers in particular, if they able to pull something off against Steinbach, I would really like that. But yeah, even for the Hornets, that's a really good pick. But Steinbach is one of those guys who I think in most drafts would absolutely be a lottery player, lottery talent, but this is a little bit of a different draft. So I wouldn't be surprised if he fell out the lottery, but I think he should be in the lottery. And like I said, any team that's desperate for a center, get this guy right now.
Yeah. And that's going to do it for the lottery. I'm just going to read off all the picks again for everybody. First overall pick, Atlanta took Darren Peterson. Second pick, the Brooklyn Nets took AJ DeBanza. Third pick, the Chicago Bulls took Caleb Wilson. Fourth pick, the Pacers take Cameron Boozer. Fifth pick, the Washington Wizards take Keaton Wagler. Sixth pick, the Utah Jazz take Kingston Flemings. Seventh pick, Sacramento Kings take Darius Acuff. Eighth pick, the Memphis Grizzlies take Mikael Brown Jr. Ninth pick, the Dallas Mavericks take LeBaron Philon Jr. 10th pick, the Milwaukee Bucks take Braden Berries. 11th pick, the Golden State Warriors take Kareem Lopez. 12th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder take Yaxel Lenneborg. 13th pick, the Miami Heat take Bennett Sturts. And 14th, the Charlotte Hornets take Hannes Steinbach. That was a good mock draft. And it's come to an end. That's going to do it for today's episode. Is there anything you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Let's go Knicks. Knicks in 4. Okay, 4.
I'm not gonna say that, but
listen, they're not gonna win in 4. Okay, we got to be delusional as fans sometimes to just have fun. But let's go Knicks, and I am feeling confident. I'm not Stephen A. Smith over here. You know what I mean? Always backing this devil out of here with that guy. But no, Knicks. Let's go. I'm not wearing no shirt, but like I said, I got the slides on for now. So
let's go Knicks, baby. I'm gonna go to the
back there.
Going to the bar today to watch the game. It's gonna be packed. I'm going with a bunch of friends. That shit should be active over there. Hopefully, we get a big game 1 win. I need that. But shout out to you.
It's pretty close right now.
Hey man,
yeah.
Don't sleep on the Raptors. I've seen a lot of people, like I've been listening to a lot of shows the last couple of days, and everybody's just saying Cavs in 5. I want to say sweep. I'm like, bruh, What have the
no,
what?
I'm sorry. Nah, I'm sleeping tight with the AC on with the Raptors, bro. That team, we
Nah.
destroyed them 5 times. That you know why? Because they're
No. I'm not talking about for the Knicks. I'm talking about against the Cavs.
Okay,
Yeah, like oh yeah, with us, I would have been like, yeah, that's 5 games. But with the Cavs, I'm like, I really think the Raptors could bother them.
I'm not gonna get into it now, of course, but I'm just gonna say this: the Raptors are an incomplete team, and that's
Yeah,
why I think we would destroy them. Um, but they get a few more pieces, they get a real point guard and everything like that, then they could be a pretty solid team. But right now they're an incomplete team. Cavs are winning this series, and I think no more than 6.
yeah, I had Cavs in 6, but I'm gonna let you get out of here.
Yes,
For
sir.
everybody listening and watching, please give 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. Follow on TikTok at the JV Podcast. Follow on Instagram at the JV Podcast 1. We appreciate you and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Sure.